1, 2, 3, yeah! This is Amari Purple Talk. Yes. Welcome to episode 82 of Amari Purple Talk, a podcast where I share my thoughts on the Prince musical singularity. I'm Richard Cole, your imagination funk soloist. Thank you once again for tuning in. Please leave your comments in the comments section below, and please download on your favorite podcast platform. If you're listening on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And please continue to send your questions or topic suggestions to Amari Purple Talk. And how you can do that is by clicking the link in the show notes below, either the website link for Amari Communications, or by following me on Twitter at RichardCole_now, and the now is in all caps, using the hashtag Amari Purple Talk. And your topic or question might just be read in a future episode. All right, so before we jump into the main topic, there's a couple of announcements. First, on March 21st, 2021, Amari Purple Talk will broadcast on Sunday instead of Monday for the celebration of the actual release date of the album 3121. Now, if you didn't get a chance to share your thoughts, memories, or your favorite song from the March 1st, 2021 celebration episode, well, now is your chance to do so. And to do that, again, check all of my contacts in the show notes. And, of course, use either the hashtag Amari Purple Talk, or you can hashtag 3121 celebration. That way, I'll be sure to read it and not throw it into the spam folder or the junk folder. And your memory, thought, or even your favorite song will definitely be read on that episode. So Sunday, that is going to broadcast. Check it out. You have up until roughly around the 20th. That's when I'll actually record that episode for broadcast on the 21st. And after you listen to that episode of Amari Purple Talk, check out TV One. It'll be the season premiere of the series Unsung. First episode is going to focus on the Morris Day. So I'm going to definitely check that out. Might do a review of that. If I do, definitely, again, download, listen on your, well, actually, that's only going to be on YouTube. So be sure, if you're on YouTube, hit up the Amari Communications channel, hit like, subscribe, also hit that notification bell, and that will be up as well. Also, anybody interested in the Jackson's Destiny album digital review, I'm definitely going to have that up soon. Again, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I actually recorded it over a week ago. Just got to put all the photos and everything together in the video and then upload it. So be sure to look out for that. So that'll be the third and final review for the digital reissues. So by all means, check that out. And last but not least, coming up is the 1 + 1 + 1 is 3 Virtual Symposium. If you haven't seen any of the previous ones, check them out. This one will focus on 40 years of controversy, 30 years of Diamonds and Pearls, and 20 years of the Rainbow Children. So 3 very diverse, yet still classic Prince albums, and those albums will be discussed by moderators and roundtable panelists. A surprise guest or two, special guests are involved. Among those will be Dr. Fink, also one of St. Louis's own, Kababi Bayok, the artist for the Rainbow Children album cover, as well as the CD booklet and the actual CD label itself. Talented brother, again, one of St. Louis's own, so be sure to check this out. I myself will be one of the roundtable panelists on the Times debut album. The symposium will be Friday through Sunday, March 26th through the 28th. It is free to sign up, so I have the link in the show notes, so you can click on that, sign up, and participate. This is sort of like for me, this is like the Comic-Con of Prince music. So I'm anxious and hyped to check it out. Again, I will be one of the roundtable panelists for the Times debut album. That will be March 28th between 3 and 4:30 p.m. And I am honored to be amongst other Prince experts, writers, and podcasters of cool. The moderator will be Michael Dean, of course, host of Prince Podcast. Also Mark Wiggins, Ivan Orr, and Ricky Watt. So again, that's March 28th between 3 and 4:30 p.m. So tune in and check it out. And thanks to organizer D'Angela Duff for asking me to participate in this. It is indeed an honor. And of course, just like this podcast, the estate of Prince Rogers Nelson is not affiliated, associated, or connected with the symposium, nor has it sponsored or endorsed it. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into this week's topic. And this week's topic is, should the Prince estate be the same as other estates? And this episode was inspired by a question from my good friend Vault Curator, based on a tweet from earlier this past week. And Vault Curator writes, "It's been almost 6 months since the release of Sign of the Times Super Deluxe. How can any organization sit on How can any organization sit on as much material as the Prince estate is and afford a 6-month dry spell? I'm not expecting an album a quarter, but no digital singles, no demos, no live shows. Come on." And of course, thanks Vault Curator for allowing me to sort of adopt this question and use it as a topic for this episode. And basically this question, it sort of echoes the sentiment of a lot of Prince fans, of Prince supporters, where, it's not really a bad frequency in terms of releases. Yes, it's been pretty much 6 months since the release of the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe Edition. We have yet to receive any announcements regarding possibly a Diamonds and Pearls Super Deluxe. Another rumor that has been gaining more and more traction these past few weeks is the release of the Welcome to America album, which I'm still not sure if this is an actual studio album that was unreleased or just a live concert from that Welcome America tour. So that would make at least 2 possible releases for 2021. If I was to fathom a guess, I would say first and foremost, as far as the distribution of physical media, I think it was a matter of waiting until Sony acquired the licensing this year, where before we've had sort of Sony just doing reissues of the material they had the license for from, say, 1995 to 2015 or so, where Warner Brothers, they were facilitating the distribution of the classic material, whether it was in the form of originals, whether it was in the form of a 1999 or a Sign of the Times Super Deluxe Edition. We did have the luxury of sort of the off single here and there. We've had the single release of Nothing Compares to You, the actual original Prince. I don't know if you can really call it a demo, but basically that song in its original form with Prince's vocals, that was sort of a guide for the family to follow when recording for the family album. And now that you have Sony in charge of the license for all of the material, the classic Warner Brothers albums, as well as anything that Prince had done after leaving Warner Brothers in 95/96, I do believe there's a plan. And I believe it's a big plan. If any of the recent interviews with Michael Howe, who I consider sort of the Kevin Feige of Prince world right now, where Kevin Feige is the head of Marvel Studios and is the big producer responsible for the quality of the MCU. I think Michael Howe is sort of the Prince equivalent. And I think one of the sort of, it's not an obstacle, but just given the circumstances that we did lose Prince in 2016, and it took a while to get everything sort of organized, and just on the music alone, getting everything archived, where in the two examples I'm about to present later, Jimi Hendrix and Frank Zappa, there was some system of organization, and it's two completely different entities, but each one, I would say, in their current form, have had at least well over 20 to 25 years of consistency in how to present material to their fan base. So I think that is generally a part of it. Again, we're 5 years into the loss of Prince, that we're just 5 years in to processing that loss. And from the industry standpoint, or how the estate is, what they're going through, again, I do believe Michael Howe has a plan. I do believe that there are ideas in motion, there are projects that are being discussed, but from where you and I are sitting, we haven't really scratched the surface. We're not even in the infancy of the magnitude of this loss. And, that's the thing to think about first, is that Prince is no longer here, but yet, we're in a lot of ways dependent on the music to help us process that loss, to help us cope with that loss. And in processing it, it's that, yes, we want as much music as possible. We're kind of almost in this sort of, I don't know, kind of like WandaVision-esque in our subconscious, that it's like, oh, we need everything. Now if we don't have him here personally to bring new music to us, then we need as much stuff out of the vault as possible. But again, like I said, we haven't even scratched the surface, or again, we're just in the infancy of us as fans processing that loss, or wanting to access or have access to as much music as possible. Now again, I started looking at the different legacy artists that are out there. And, on the one hand, I didn't want to do a Prince Michael Jackson comparison, because it's clear that the Michael Jackson estate really wants to go as far to the left as possible in how they're handling releases. And their fan base wants just as much material as we do from Prince. And basically, we've gotten the better end of the deal, because we do have a 1999 Super Deluxe. We do have a Sign of the Times Super Deluxe. We've had a Piano and Microphone 1983. We've had originals, a Purple Rain Deluxe. So we have received some things, some things better than others. But overall, we've been pleased with the progress thus far. And Prince in life was about wanting to be as far to the left as possible, about not doing the status quo. Now that he's no longer here, it is a different ballgame, because let's put it this way: if he was still around, we would just be sitting in our different chat rooms, our various whatever MPG music clubs, and you name it, talk amongst each other, dependent on the other podcast, to just talk about the stuff in the vault. And it would be just that mythical, legendary thing. Now that we're getting access to it, basically, you don't really want to copy, but I do believe that there are 2 templates that the estate can work from. And I've discussed this in much earlier episodes of Amari Purple Talk, but I think for the sake of this question, the 2 best templates, and I'm going to give all the reasons why these 2 templates work. They are effective in getting material to the fan base. But the key is that, again, as far as the consistency of quality, both have had a good 25 years running. And these are both artists that were around the late 60s. One of them into the 70s and the 80s. So if you imagine the median age of the fan base of those 2 artists, and here we are in 2021, and like I said again, as far as the level of consistency, they've had a 25-year head start. Then the key is to be patient and do what you can to live your best life, and try to stick around for another 25, 30 years, 40 years, because there's going to be a lot of stuff coming. It's just going to take time. And remember, we're just 5 years in. But the 2 artists I am going to talk about are Frank Zappa and Jimi Hendrix. And again, I could have brought in Bob Dylan into the equation, but Bob Dylan is still walking the earth amongst us and still putting out quality work. Also, Paul McCartney still walking the earth with us and has been pumping out not only brand new music of good quality, but he's been curating his vault stuff and putting out box sets of his classic albums, even some not so classic, but the fan base is eating it up. Now you got the other former Beatles, John Lennon has got another box set coming out and has had two in the past couple of years. But like I said, those are general examples, but I feel that Hendrix and Zappa would be the best template, given that as individuals that they've amassed in their lifetime such an amount of work that has been unreleased and bootleg to the point that these estates have taken care to notice the bootleg market and to officially release things that have been popular amongst the bootleg circuit or collector circuit, in which I feel personally, again, I don't work for the estate, I don't work for Sony, I don't work for Warner Brothers, and not getting paid for this endorsement, but I believe this is my personal idea of how the Prince estate moving forward, or within the next 2 to 5 years, should have this particular system set up. And I'm going to start with Jimi Hendrix. Now, Jimi Hendrix died September 18th of 1970. There have been albums that had been released after his death. There were things from In the Vault. There were items which were considered to be part of his last album that he was working on before he passed. He did have a will. Everything was left to his father. His father got cheated around the early 70s out of ownership of those master recordings and anything musically related to Jimi Hendrix. He sued. It took a lot of years, but he sued and successfully won judgment in 1996. And first it was him and his daughter Janie, and then since Al Hendrix passed, it's just been his daughter Janie that's been running the show. And this, what she's been running, it's been called Experience Hendrix LLC. It was established in 1996. They had a license agreement with Universal from 1996 through 2009. Then they entered into a license with Sony from 2009 to the present day. They also have a website. It offers downloadable license. So if you want to use a Jimi Hendrix song in a movie, you go to that website, download the proper paperwork, fill it out, and then I guess they discuss what kind of money everybody's looking at that point. But yeah, license for the music, his likeness, anything that the Hendrix estate owns regarding Jimi Hendrix. They have that available on their website. But we're talking about just the music. Now, as far as what's been put out since not only Jimi Hendrix's passing, but what's been put out since the establishment of Hendrix or Experience Hendrix LLC, in which they have complete ownership of all of Jimmy's master recordings. So here we go. We've got 13 studio recordings, 28 live albums, anthologies and retrospective albums. There's a total of 19. 28 singles, 27 EPs and special releases. And now, people in the Prince musical singularity, take note. Official bootlegs, 23. Now, when you go on their website and you want to purchase Jimi Hendrix music, there's also, there's all the official albums, a lot of that I just mentioned, studio albums, live albums, box sets, singles, EPs, special releases. But they also have a subsidiary called Dagger Records. And that subsidiary handles all of the stuff that's been circulating amongst bootlegs and collectors. And a lot of this stuff, it's not the best quality. Like, you can't go in and remix it or remaster it. It is what it is. But they know that there's a market for it. They know that this is just the fans. This isn't just your audiophile or whatever. This is the hardcore fan base. It's like, oh, well, that recording he did in Miami in 1968, only one version, recorded by some cat with a little microphone. So there's nothing to mix or remaster. It is what it is. But it's good enough to sell officially. So, and at reasonable pricing. So then you're not paying $200 to, just Joe Schmo. And when you buy it officially, then that money goes to the estate, and that keeps the family fed and all of that. But yes, definitely 23 official bootlegs from Dagger Records. So yeah, so check out the Experience Hendrix website and you can see all the official albums, the bootlegs. And myself, I've got a pretty good number of a lot of the stuff since Experience Hendrix LLC started. Of course, I've got all of the official studio albums, got Band of Gypsies. There's a wonderful trilogy of compilations they've come out with within the last 5 or 6 years. People, Hell, and Angels, Both Sides of the Sky, Valleys of Neptune. Yeah, and we're talking, little over 50 years after he passed. And again, these things have been released officially for the first time. A lot of it never heard before by anybody, not even bootleggers or collectors. And, a lot of the people that were young, whether they were in high school or college, when Jimi Hendrix was alive, here they are now in their 60s and 70s. And look at what they're benefiting from. Or even if you were a kid coming up in the 70s, grade school or just starting high school. I got into Jimi Hendrix in college. So we're talking like 1985. When I got on board. And look how long it's taken to get a lot of this stuff. So, yeah, it's for the long game. And that's the thing. When you're talking about somebody's estate, you want this stuff to go on and on and on and even beyond us. But let's talk about Frank Zappa, who I'm just finding out has had a tremendous influence on Prince. Reading Morris Day's book On Time, A Princely Life and Funk, where he talks about how he and Prince just basically just lived the Apostrophe album by Frank Zappa. They loved that album. Morris Day wore the grooves off of that album. And Frank, like Prince, was, vocally detestable of bootleggers. So, but what Frank did, and I think, Prince looked at that, and that was probably, I'm going to assume, one of the inspirations for the Crystal Ball compilation. Now that he was free from Warner Brothers, I think that Crystal Ball compilation was sort of Prince's first attempt at doing or not Bite the Boots, that was my segment. Beat the Boots by Frank Zappa. And let's see. So let me get some facts about the Zappa estate. So during his lifetime, dude had 62 albums already. He died in 1993. So since 1994, their estate, called the Zappa Family Trust, have released, I'm going to say, because they've released a couple of things this year. So as of last year, they had 54 albums out since Frank Zappa's passing. That number, I think, has increased to about 55 or 56 as of, within the last 6 or 7 months, plus a Frank Zappa documentary. But it's a total of 116 albums and or album sets, meaning like box sets and things of that nature. Universal Music is the current distributor of Zappa's recorded output. Now, during his lifetime, like I said, he was vocally against bootleggers. So part of his campaign to kind of get his fans away from buying the illegal stuff of a lot of his concerts, he created this idea of Beat the Boots. And basically it's a collection of bootlegs of performances of Frank Zappa's, which, again, they were illegally distributed. But what he did was go so far as duplicate what they were doing. Exact same track listings, even down to the artwork itself, and distributed through Rhino Entertainment, which was which is a subsidiary of Warner Brothers. And at that time, they were available as individual CDs, also available on vinyl, on cassette, box sets. And those recordings covered from 1961 up until 1982. And that was just the first volume. The most recent Beat the Boots set was put out in 2009. So for me, within, we're in 2021. So just over maybe about 15 years since I've just started getting into Frank Zappa. So around 2006, 7, 8, I started getting into it, started checking out stuff that was on YouTube. There was like a documentary on YouTube that I checked out. Also, I had checked out the One Size Fits All album out of the library, made a copy of it. And since then, just got a couple of other Zappa albums. And because of the Morris Day endorsement, went and got Apostrophe on Amazon Music. So as I was researching for this topic, I did a sort of a deep dive into Frank Zappa's website as well. And it has all the, studio recordings, also a lot of the Beat the Boots material. So I thought I'd go ahead and support and just check out some of the Beat the Boots stuff. And I downloaded the first album from that, which is titled As an Am. And man, just the first track alone, if Prince was a closet Zappa fan, trust me, you will recognize a lot of the sounds on that. Let me pull it up. The very first, or not the first track, the second track, Young and Monde, that track definitely you can hear what Prince ended up doing for the Rainbow Children and what he was doing on the One Night Alone live. Just the way he was jamming, the free form. And as I've been finding out just how amazing of a guitar player Frank Zappa was. So I get it when Prince and Morris were just constantly listening to the Apostrophe album. I get it. Because, I was blown away with the One Size Fits All album. Because there's a lot of funky elements to it. But this dude, he was just as, he was experimental. He was out there like George Clinton. A lot of it's quirky, but a lot of it too, I get a lot of the sense of humor Prince had picked up on as well and uses as elements within his own music. And there's another album titled Transfusion, which is just a collection of Frank Zappa guitar solos. Man, now can you picture a Prince equivalent of that? And let me jump back to Jimi Hendrix for a minute. Like I said, I got to go back and support the Dagger Records end of the whole Experience Hendrix thing. There's one album called Hear My Music. It's a collection of instrumental recordings. This was done throughout the first half of 1969. And if you listen to the sort of the description of it, or read the description of it on the website, it says, never intended for release in their present state, this collection shines further light on his creative development and unending quest for new musical challenges. The diversity of these recordings, from solo demos to group efforts with the Experience to free-form jam sessions, make clear Hendrix's sheer love of playing music and interacting with fellow musicians in any setting whatsoever. And then there's a live album that's on Dagger Records. It's called Live at the Isle of, let me get this correct, Live at the Isle of Fehmarn. And the description for this one reads, the Jimi Hendrix Experience Live at the Isle of Fehmarn marks the 8th release in Dagger Records' popular bootleg-style recording series. This historically significant album features the Jimi Hendrix Experience's final live performance on September 6, 1970, during the Love and Peace Festival held on the Isle of Fehmarn in Germany. Jimmy's Isle of Fehmarn performance has been widely bootlegged over the last 35 years. Now, read that again. Jimmy's Isle of Fehmarn performance has been widely bootlegged over the last 35 years, yet it was never professionally recorded. Amateur recordings made from the audience by fans have served as the only known documentation of this historic concert until now. As the 8th entry in this popular bootleg series, Dagger presents a newly discovered recording made by the festival's promoters. Unbeknownst to Hendrix, the promoters captured the group's entire performance by feeding 2 overhead stage microphones into a consumer-grade Revox reel-to-reel tape machine located off to the side of the stage. The resulting document, rough-hewn and unmixed, is clear and not unlike the amateur audience recording featured on the initial Dagger offering live at the Oakland Coliseum. So what does that tell you right there? What does that sound like to you? It sounds like the perfect market for a lot of popular or classic material that might not necessarily make it onto a super deluxe edition or even an officially standalone release. Save those for the things that you can mix, remaster, professionally release, and have it go through the proper distribution channels. But create a system. Create a system where, for the diehard fans, there is that one recording. I can't think of one off the top of my head. Most of the ones that I'm thinking of are basically things that should be a standalone release. Now, maybe something like Small Club, can that be released officially as a standalone? Or should it be relegated to like a special, Prince website where you can download that? But I don't know. Like I said, let me do some deep digging, or I might even have something in what I have left to say, oh, yeah, that might be a good live show to put out, on something like this. Have the estate do their own Dagger records, bring back Paisley Park or something like that, and just have it released that way. Yeah, and these Hendrix recordings that I just read to you, they are available on that website as downloads. Where the Zappa ones, when I clicked on the link, you have your choices. I think also same thing for some of the Hendrix stuff too. If you want it on, Amazon Music, you can get it from there. I know the Zappa one took me straight to Apple Music, so which was cool. But a lot of stuff is also available on physical media as well, which I'm looking forward to sort of expanding my collection as far as the Zappa stuff to physical media. Everything I have now is digital. But the Hendrix stuff, like I said, I've got quite a number of the stuff that's been released on CD over the last 25 years, minus some box sets. My holy grail of that is the complete Fillmore East shows. They did release prior to that. They've had 2-disc live at the Fillmore East, which was kind of a companion to the Band of Gypsies album. Maybe 10, 15 years later, they released, I think it was the first show, the complete first show. And then now they have the complete box set. All 4 shows are now officially released in one big set. So that should tell you something as well. So that same concert, in some way, shape, or form, has been released since 1970 4 times. Starting with Band of Gypsies, just those 6 songs. Then in 99, 98, 99, the Live at the Fillmore East, which was kind of a mix-up of the 4 shows. Just kind of cherry-picking different tracks from each of the 4 shows. Then 10 years later, the complete first show was released. And then just last year, 2019, the complete Fillmore East. The complete Fillmore East, all 4 shows. So, again, it's just a matter of just being patient. But yes, I do agree with Vault Curator that there should be some type of system in the works within the next few years that would set up a more direct to consumer base, not only of just the official stuff, but some of the stuff that a lot of us kind of, they're cult favorites, or they've been trading amongst the collectors for God knows how many years, and deserve to see the light of day as an official release in some way, shape, or form. And also materials that maybe can't be mixed or mastered, but are just good enough to put on a CD or put on a vinyl and just sell it to the fan base. Never mind about the mainstream. They'll have Purple Rain, they'll have, Parade, they'll have whatever, another greatest hits set or another career spanning box set. They'll be fine. But just for us, that one show that was done in, 1992, that's the one we want. And, even the studio stuff, for me, one song, that track, that is basically one of my favorite Prince songs, period, is one song. And it's not really an album you can kind of attach it to. Maybe whatever was going on in that period, it could make a nice bonus track. But you know what? If you had a system where, again, direct to consumer, MP3 download or whatever download quality, I wouldn't mind just having that, just to play on whatever streaming platform or download to the computer or put it on my USB, plug it into the ride and just listen. But what's most important is, what do you think? Do you think that there should be sort of a revamp of the Prince Estate website to accommodate, say, lesser known material or bootleg material sold direct to consumer, whether it's a live album, singles, maybe a special EP, maybe 4 songs at a time, just for the fans? We be there to support it. Hey, you're going to get all of my purple ducats for sure. But leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. And again, thanks, Vault Curator, for submitting that question. And thank you once again for sharing your time by listening to this episode. You can continue your support for Amari Purple Talk by either purchasing Amari Communications merchandise with items including Amari Purple Talk t-shirts, mugs, and masks, and We Funk t-shirts, or you can make a Cash App donation for any amount you wish. Links are in the show notes or in the button in the Amari Communications channel banner on YouTube. So until next week, be safe, be peaceful, be wild, and keep it purple and on the one.